With me tonight is a rising filmmaker whose debut feature film, Alice, won the Grand Jury Prize at South by Southwest and is now being featured at the Fairhope Film Festival. Please give a warm weekly show welcome to French-Aussie filmmaker Josephine Mackeras. Josephine, how are you?
Yeah, good. Great. Thank you.
So your film's being featured at the Fairhope Film Festival, which many of our viewers may be familiar with. Before we get into the film and its production, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a filmmaker. I've been, making sort of shorts, and this is my first feature. And, yeah, what else is there? Yeah, that's like the short nutshell version.
Now, you're French-Aussie. And you said you had a name for that.
Frozzy. I mean, I self-identify as a Frozzy. I just think it's really cute, a French Aussie.
So where were you born, and what was it like where you were growing up?
So I was, born and raised in Australia, and then I went over to France as a young adult. I mean, it was, so I'm not French, even though my name Josephine is a French name. I'm not actually. The reason I became French is because I lived there, and
What got you into filmmaking? I mean, were you artistic originally?
Yeah, so theater is my base, and that's where I've been in since I discovered theater at the age of 9, and that was my first true love, and that never died. So, and then I was always into painting, and I was a saxophonist and, had a group. And so I was very into all of that. And then when I discovered filmmaking, it was just like everything I loved kind of all combined together into, my life's mission, like what I want to do for the rest of my time here.
So you started off, though, as an actor, right?
Yeah, an actor and a musician. Yeah. And so... yeah, I guess that's my angle in. Yeah, that's true.
So let's talk about the film Alice, which is set in France. How did you originally find yourself in Paris? Was it for the purpose of making it or making the film, or were you already in France?
Oh, no, I was already in France. I originally went to France to study with Jacques Lecoq, and then I just stayed, and then I stayed. So it wasn't, really planned. But yeah, no, I was already there. And actually the original screenplay was set in London. I mean, English is my first language. I write in English. And I set it in English. And then because going back a bit further, I had another screenplay that was a much bigger budget and was signed with a Wapadoobie producer. And we were in casting in London when I fell pregnant. And so the whole thing, which it had taken me years to get to that point because he was a very heavyweight producer and it was all great. It taken me years to get to that point, and then I got pregnant, and then we pushed it, got pushed, and then it just sort of went ugh. And then it just really sort of frustration to, how many years it took me to get there, and then it didn't come through. And so I wrote Alice with the intention of sort of writing a very big story in a small space so that I didn't need millions of dollars to, do you know what I mean? That I had, that it would give me some more control. And then the script was written and people were like, oh, this is really good. Just get a producer. It'll be so much, what are you doing thinking you're going to, and so I did. And then I kind of feel like I wasted, time. That was sort of a bit of a waste of time in a way because there were producers who, wanted to take it on but wanted to change things, and there was all of that. And also, you get a producer and then you have to get the money, and then, it can take years and years. And there was just a part of me, I was like, I am not waiting another day to make my movie, And so it's sort of something snapped, and I set a date even before I had a team involved. It was like, I'm making my movie. And so that's what I did. So I self-produced it, and, it nearly killed me. But I'm glad I did it because and what's interesting is, now in retrospect, because of what's happened in the world, like who could have, and what it does to filmmakers and the festivals and, you know all about it, right?
I've seen a preview for it and can just see from that trailer why it's getting so much attention and buzz and praise. And I want to show a clip of it. Before doing that, can you tell the viewers a little bit about what the film is about?
So it's really about, a couple who have a child, and really about, the husband ends up, he's living a double life, and this Alice is a woman who's done everything right in her life, and then she gets the rug pulled out from under her feet, and in the process of fighting to regain her life and she really kind of discovers who she is.
So we're going to show a clip of this now. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the trailer for Alice.
Non!
Hop là. Hop. À mon aveugle amour.
La carte n'est pas passée.
Oui, mon chéri, aucune de mes deux cartes marche. Donc rappelle-moi quand tu peux.
Madame Ferrand?
Monsieur Ferrand a retiré d'importantes sommes d'argent à peu près tous les 15 jours depuis un an.
Il doit forcément y avoir une erreur.
Élégance escorte, que puis-je faire pour vous aujourd'hui?
François, rappelle-moi, rentre à la maison, putain!
Il a tout volé? Je voudrais juste savoir combien.
Paris entre 600 et 1800 euros pour une heure, ou plus.
Vous devez comprendre, papier, vous êtes responsable en même titre, et il nous faut 10% de la somme due, afin de reporter la saisie.
Avance sur moi, t'il te plaît. J'ai bien eu votre message. Il te faut d'autres chaussures, par contre. J'ai jamais fait un truc comme ça, moi.
D'abord, tu prends l'argent. Ça, c'est la plus importante. Après, c'est toi qui décides.
C'est la première fois de ma vie que j'ai autant de temps libre.
Je suis perdu sans toi.
J'ai pas l'impression.
Une mère qui se prostitue.
J'ai fait ça pour m'occuper de mon fils.
Wow, like I said, I can see why this has become kind of the talk of these film festivals. Where did the idea for this film originally come from?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I think relationships was my first initial thing that I wanted to explore, intimate relationships and that kind of need versus love, that I think we all kind of, it's a human condition. That's where, and then the political stuff came from the Elliot Splitzer. I was following a blog actually of a sex worker who came out. No, she was sort of, named in all that scandal, and I just watched how he got his life back so quickly. And she wrote a blog. She was a writer, so even 5 years later, she still couldn't get a job. It was like, wow, this is such interesting, it's such an in-your-face hypocrisy. And not that I'm not particularly interested in prostitution, but I am interested in what that says about us, So, yeah, and it was very interesting. The kind of vehicle of a relationship was an interesting way to explore that.
Now, you got into a little bit of some of the challenges and some of the thought processes behind making the film. And I know in other places you've said it was kind of an incredibly hard experience on both a practical and personal level. What were some of those specific hardships?
Well, practical, just not having money, and then, you're constantly chasing people. And I think it starts off like everyone's very excited, we're making a movie and yay. And then, after a couple of weeks of hard work, or, you start losing people. And then by the end, most people are angry at you. Or we started with 35 people and I end up with I think the last shoot, it was just my DP and Emily, so it's like, yeah, that's tough, always being the bad guy because you're doing it and you're not, paying people, that's hard. And then also just being alone, I think that's really that, especially in post, that really, so that was challenging.
Were there any moments that were the exact opposite, where everything just clicked and just went so beautifully, perfectly?
Well, I mean, when you say that, it's like the South by wind. I know that the wind, it's like after the fact, but I was at South by, I was so exhausted. I was I remember even the day of the awards, I could barely get out of bed that morning. I was so exhausted. And then we did the win, and I literally danced like a 15-year-old the whole night. It was like, I could not have hoped for anything better than that winning South by, because it's really the independent filmmaking movement, because in a way Sundance is very much, it's sort of much more political and in a way, where South by is the raw deal,
And it generates buzz, and then that gets you the attention in the other locations. What was it like working with Emily?
Yeah, great. I mean, the actors were, I love working with actors. It was great. And she really took it on was a very she's very organic. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Is that what you were looking for? What were you looking for in casting that role? And what did you see in her that kind of made you go, yeah, that's who I need?
Oh wow. I guess, I mean, Alice, she's a very kind of docile. I mean, there's something childlike. There has to be something a little bit childlike about Alice. And we really kind of watch her transformation into becoming a woman in a way. And I guess that's, because Alice, she's an interesting character because she's a little bit, what do you call it? Effacée. She's not, she doesn't have a lot of charisma or presence.
A little introverted?
Introverted, but not in her, she lives through other people, so she lives in response to everything around her rather than knowing who she is. Like, Lisa, her, the friend that she makes is a much more, even though she's really screwed up too, but, she's got presence, she's anchored. Whereas Alice is a more, it's an interesting thing. And I wasn't sure exactly what I was looking for. And it was very difficult casting. But then Emily came in and she read the script from beginning to end. And I just saw the movie. And it was like, and it just went really well with Martin. Like they were just they worked off each other really well.
The chemistry was just there. And sometimes when it's there. Sometimes it just clicks.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Casting is like, I think there's something I don't think you can be a filmmaker and not have a metaphysical kind of, side of you, because it's very interesting, particularly with casting. You write the character, you kind of draw in. It's, like, I mean, I think 99% of the casting in this film was like that. It was like, okay, that's Monsieur Gobert, or that's, Alice, or that's Francois. It's like, it really, and that's Lisa. I mean, it really was like, there's no doubt in my mind, not the slightest bit.
There's a blessing when it clicks in that way.
Totally. Yeah. It's like the lighting or the location or when things come through, it's like, I couldn't have, asked for better than this,
So Josephine, we got to go to a quick commercial break, pay the bills. Can you hang around after the break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We'll be right back with Josephine.